Good day to you, math learners! Welcome to another science lesson. In life, making decisions is very important. You may not be aware of it, but you make decisions every day. From deciding what to wear, to where you will go for the day, and how you can get there. So, how do you come up with the best decisions? We use the scientific method. This module will help you understand the scientific method so you can make informed decisions. After this module, you should be able to identify the steps in the scientific method of problem solving, apply the scientific method in solving simple problems in daily life, and design, plan a simple study or investigation on an existing problem in your community. Let's get started. Let's start by finding out if you use a method in your daily life. A method is a way of doing things. It is also called a process because it involves steps that have to be followed before you can reach your goal. Get a pen and a sheet of paper and write down what you did this week to prepare for your learning session. List them down in the order of what you first did, from the moment you woke up to just before you joined this class. Do the same thing for activities you did last week to prepare for that week's class. Compare both lists and see if there are any similarities between them. Chances are you will see similarities between the two lists. This is your method of doing things. How we prepare for the week varies from person to person. Have your co-learners create their own list of preparing for the week. What things do they do that you don't? Not everyone gets up in the morning and immediately takes a bath. You might notice that some people like to drink coffee. Some like to start their day with a meal. Others may do a bit of exercise to wake up their muscles before they do anything else. You might have heard someone say, "Let's be a bit more scientific about this." But what does that mean? Being scientific does not mean wearing a lab coat and digging through textbooks to figure out a solution to a problem. Being scientific means relying only on observable facts. Take this situation as an example. Let's say somebody told you on Messenger that one of your classes for this week was canceled. What if another co-learner tells you the exact opposite, that your classes will continue and that you even have a test to take this week? What will you do then? Would you believe them right away? Or will you ask your instructional manager first before either take the day off or dig into your lessons? The best way to arrive at a sound decision for most of the problems we face is by going through the scientific method. The scientific method is a 5-step process that allows you to arrive to an informed decision. Let's look at the steps involved in the scientific method and apply them to this list of things to do for today. We will leave both lists on screen so you can write it down and use it as reference throughout this lesson. Identify the problem. Knowing that you have a problem is important. Knowing what that problem is, however, is even more crucial. Identifying your problem gives you a goal and in many ways determines the steps that you should take to solve it. Having a lot of problems might make this decision hard, but we can help you sort them out by setting your priorities. Let's look at a few factors to consider in prioritizing and apply them to the to-do list we had earlier. 1. Urgency. Your top priority should be given to things that need to be done immediately. Set aside things that can be done at a later time. 2. Rewards and punishments. Once you have sorted your problems based on what needs to be done, you can then look at narrowing down your choices through rewards and punishments. Look at what you will get if you solve a problem and if that reward fits your needs at that time. You can also look at the consequences of leaving that solution for later, like not doing your homework, play one more game, or watch one more video. You can also look at the consequences of leaving that solution for later, like not doing your homework, to play one more game or watch one more video. 3. Relative ease. All other problems being equal, you can prioritize those that can be easily accomplished. If you're worried about your friend being a bit mad at you for not going to their birthday celebration, send them a greeting on Facebook. That won't take that much time, and you'll be able to do other things like your homework. Formulate a hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement proposition assumed to be true for the sake of argument. Looking at our to-do list, you can pretty much formulate your hypothesis for each. Here's what I have come up with. Let's now take away 3 of those and focus on 1. Meeting your friend via Google Meet to work on a project. Imagine you and your friend agreed to meet via Google Meet at 1 p.m. You log in on time for the virtual meeting, but your friend is running late. Try and list down 3 to 5 reasons why your friend might be running late. Gathering data. Gathering data involves testing your hypothesis. This means considering what can happen if you do or do not do what you were supposed to do. Sometimes, it will involve you trying out one of your hypotheses. In our previous example, your friend might have had something important happen just before your virtual meeting. How can you test this? Simple. Call him up and ask, what happened? You can also wait for a few more minutes because he could just be setting up for your virtual meeting. One piece of evidence might suffice at times, but most of the time, it's not enough. For our example, try calling other friends who live close to your friend's house. Have them take a peek and see what has happened. It's like taking a case to court. The more data you have, the more solid your case will be. Gather as much data as you can before you analyze and make a decision. That way, you can get to the best answer you can find. Analyze the data. After gathering data, you should now study them and determine how reliable they are. This is why you need more data than you think you need. The more data you have, the easier it will be to verify whether each information can be used to make a decision or not. Take your time and process the data you have, making sure each of them can contribute to your decision. Make conclusions and recommendations. The last step in the scientific method is making conclusions and recommendations. A conclusion is a reasoned judgment. It summarizes your findings and suggests possible solutions to your problem based on the data you gathered. Using our example from before, let's assume that your friend was not able to pick up the phone because something came up. You then checked with a friend who was nearby who told you that he saw your friend picking up a few packages he bought online. You then conclude that because your friend had to answer the door, he wasn't able to log in right away and start your virtual meeting. Notice that your conclusion can either accept or reject your hypothesis. That's perfectly normal and is a part of scientific method. From here, you can make recommendations on what you and your friend should do before your next virtual meeting. You can then test this out, which sets the scientific method in motion once more. You may not notice it, but this simple problem already involves using the scientific method. Now that you have understood this scientific method a bit more, you can start applying it to your daily life. Before we end this lesson, let's remember what we have learned so far. The scientific method is an approach to problem solving that follows a series of steps. The steps in the scientific method are: identify the problem, formulate a hypothesis, gather data, analyze the data, and formulate conclusions and recommendations. Prioritization is important. Consider the following factors when setting priorities: urgency, rewards and punishments, and relative ease. The scientific method can be used over and over again as long as there are problems to solve. That's it for our lesson on the scientific method itself. Did you like it? Do you think you can apply the scientific method to your daily life? You might want to stick around because in our next lesson, we will do just that, applying the scientific method to our daily lives. Before you go, stay tuned for a short quiz to see how much you have learned from this lesson. You can also log into your online LMS account and take the quiz there. See you again on our next lesson, co-learners!